is trapped in ice, still glassy and real. A baby mammoth, frozen before she learned the world, named Lyuba, love. She became the most haunting Ice Age time capsule. In modern Siberia, a gloved hand reveals the fur. It's the shock of time, over 40,000 years, and she still looks warm. This is an AI reconstruction, guided by real fossils and real scans. This is the Yamal Peninsula. Permafrost here is a deep freezer, sealing stories under layers of soil and ice. But to understand her, we have to go back into the Ice Age, when Mammoth Steppe stretched to the horizon.
I'm your host, and today we're recreating the last day of Lyuba, the best preserved baby mammoth ever found. It's a reminder that nature records everything, even tragedy.
Lyuba's mother is a mountain of muscle and fur, 3 meters tall, 6 tons, built to survive wind that can cut like stone. Even in danger, tenderness is how the herd stays together. The calf is barely a month old, dog-sized, still smelling of milk, staying close to the safest place on earth, her mother's shadow. Mother and calf communicate constantly, touch, rumble, and breath. The herd moves as one organism, adults forming walls of tusk and fur, calves tucked inside like embers in a storm. Every step matters. Frosted grass hides hard ice, and soft ground that can swallow ankles without warning. And they're not alone. In this world, even silence leaves tracks, footprints, broken stems, the scent of smoke.
The mammoths are near, ready to move. We must wait for the right moment.
On the ridge, hunters watch. Not villains, survivors, measuring a herd that could feed a family through winter. They don't need to strike, only to steer the herd toward danger. Stone meets stone. A single sharp edge is born, small as a hand, deadly as hunger. Their eyes stay on the calf, because youth is the weak point of every giant. They move low through the grass, reading the land like a book. Fresh prints, bent sedges, drifting hair. These hunters are careful. One charge from a mammoth can end everything. Above Raven's circle, waiting. In the Ice Age, every creature listens for weakness. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything, except the ground itself. A storm gathers, dark clouds pressing down, because weather here can change the rules in minutes. Lyuba chirps. Her mother answers with a rumble you feel more than hear, an ancient language of reassurance. Mother and calf communicate constantly, touch, rumble, and breath. The first obstacle, an icy stream. Cold water bites, but the herd knows the crossings. Lyuba slips, and instantly a trunk becomes a lifeline, steadying, lifting, guiding her back to solid ground. Even in danger, tenderness is how the herd stays together. Wolves follow at a distance, conserving energy, letting fear do the work for them. Eyes glow in the grass. Breath hangs in the air. They don't need to attack, just wait. The hunters close the gap, using river bends and shrubs to stay unseen. They use wind, cover, and patience, the oldest hunting tools on Earth. A hand tightens on a spear. One throw can decide who eats and who becomes the meal. A mammoth hunt is never clean. It's strategy, risk, and luck. The herd senses it. Adults drift outward, forming a moving shield around the youngest. Every second of hesitation makes the riverbank more crowded and more deadly. They push toward the valley, toward water, because in this landscape, rivers are both escape and trap. One wrong step can turn escape into a trap. The river churns with ice, mud, and hidden currents, loud enough to cover footsteps. The herd tightens, because distance is where danger lives. Ahead lies the danger, mud flats and thin ice, a patchwork that looks solid until it isn't. Hunters light a small fire. Smoke bends flat in the wind, a signal, a plan, a promise. They use wind, cover, and patience, the oldest hunting tools on Earth. Faces in the firelight, focused, tired, human. They know the risk of getting too close to tusks. A mammoth hunt is never clean. It's strategy, risk, and luck. Dusk falls, the steppe turns blue. Even the sky feels ancient. Lyuba's eyelashes frost over, each breath building tiny crystals. Beauty, right on the edge of disaster. Her mother guides her downhill, choosing the gentlest slope, scanning for firm ground. The herd tightens because distance is where danger lives. But the bank is alive, mud bubbles, hoofprints sink, and fill with water. The ground is breathing, the freezer is melting, and the past is leaking into the present. Wind rises, carrying sleet. The surface starts to crust, thin ice over soft silt. The mother looks back. She can't see the hunters, but she can feel the stare. The herd tightens, because distance is where danger lives. Pleistocene Siberia, over 40,000 years ago. Tonight, one small calf will become a time capsule. Watch closely, because every detail in this reconstruction comes from evidence. Morning brings fog off the water. The herd commits to the crossing, because stopping here would be worse. Hunters crouch behind driftwood and dwarf willows, keeping downwind, letting the river hide their scent. These hunters are careful. One charge from a mammoth can end everything. Through grass, a calf is a flicker of movement, a target, and a temptation. They're driven by hunger, but also by respect for an animal that can fight back. The mother steps in front, ears wide, tusks angled. She's saying, without words, not this one. One wrong step can turn escape into a trap. The herd tightens into a living fortress, calves in the center, adults outside, ready to charge. The herd tightens because distance is where danger lives. Lyuba's heart pounds under her soft fur. She doesn't know hunt, only the urge to stay close. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything except the ground itself. The hunters hesitate. A healthy adult mammoth is too dangerous, so they shift tactics. Pressure, not attack. Their eyes stay on the calf, because youth is the weak point of every giant. A spear butt tests the ground. The silt shivers. This mud can hold a secret or swallow a body. Today, that same permafrost is thawing, revealing secrets and releasing them. The herd enters the river, water slapping heavy legs, pulling at shaggy coats. A calf survives by copying the adults. Step where they step, stop when they stop. Under the surface, feet hit stones, then mud, each step carving the bottom into clouds. The current catches Lyuba. She lifts her trunk to breathe, panic turning her movements clumsy. The herd tightens because distance is where danger lives. Her mother reaches out, trunk to trunk, an anchor in a moving river. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything except the ground itself. Together, they climb the far bank, steaming like hot springs in the cold air. Lyuba shakes, water flying off in glittering arcs. For a moment, she's safe. The herd reads the ground constantly, searching for safe lines through ice and mud. But the bank ahead is deceptive. Thin ice crust over wet mud like a floor made of paper. The freezer is melting, and the past is leaking into the present. A crack runs beneath the calf. The sound is tiny, but the warning is enormous. What was once stable ice is now shifting ground. The mother nudges her forward, urgently, choosing speed over caution. Mother and calf communicate constantly: touch, rumble, and breath. From above, the mudflat looks like veins and scars, channels that can trap a calf in a single wrong step. Science here is gentle: observe, scan, measure, and preserve. The hunters flank parallel to the herd, waiting for separation. Their eyes stay on the calf, because youth is the weak point of every giant. Wolves accelerate too, reading the same opportunity in the same fear. Predators save energy. They let fear and terrain do the chasing. On a rocky outcrop, a cave lion watches, silent, patient, built for one explosive charge. They wait for the moment weakness becomes visible. Its eyes don't blink. Its breath rises like smoke. In the Ice Age, patience is a weapon. Stones fly, not to kill, just to split, to force a mistake. A mammoth hunt is never clean. It's strategy, risk, and luck. The herd bolts, mud spraying, adults trying to keep formation while the ground turns to glue. Every second of hesitation makes the riverbank more crowded and more deadly. Lyuba stumbles. The gap opens, a few meters that feel like a canyon. One wrong step can turn escape into a trap. A hunter runs, spear low, feet skimming the firmer crust. These hunters are careful. One charge from a mammoth can end everything. The mother swings back, trumpeting, a blast of sound that freezes everyone for a heartbeat. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything, except the ground itself. Lyuba's trunk touches the mud. Her breathing turns noisy, wet, wrong. What was once stable ice is now shifting ground. She steps into darker silt, softer, deeper, where the surface lies. The mud pulls at every joint, turning movement into exhaustion. Mud grips her legs like hands. The more she pulls, the tighter it holds. Each second trapped means colder muscles and slower reflexes. Wind rises, sleet needles into eyes. The mud thickens, becoming heavier with every drop. Even in danger, tenderness is how the herd stays together. The mother rumbles, panic building. The hunters stop short. The ground could claim them too. The herd tightens, because distance is where danger lives. Lyuba is stuck up to her belly. Every breath is work. Every movement steals strength. Cold steals strength fast. Panic turns to fatigue in minutes. At the edge, hunters and predators watch, each waiting for the other to make the first fatal move. One wrong step can turn escape into a trap.
And this is why Lyuba matters. CT scans show mud in her airways, evidence of a struggle in a riverbed like this. A single calf can bridge 40,000 years if we let the evidence speak.
Her mother wraps a trunk around her, trying to pull her weight out of the suction. Each second trapped means colder muscles and slower reflexes. She leans back, shoulders heaving, but the mud fights like a living thing. This is how nature hunts, by making the ground itself an enemy. Lyuba squeals, thin, breathy calls, each one shorter than the last. Mother and calf communicate constantly, touch, rumble, and breath. Hunters creep closer, spreading out, careful not to step where the surface is soft. They're driven by hunger, but also by respect for an animal that can fight back. In one hunter's eyes, there's conflict, compassion, and the cold math of survival. They use wind, cover, and patience, the oldest hunting tools on Earth. Wolves form a loose ring, testing distance, reading the mother's fear. Predators save energy. They let fear and terrain do the chasing. Teeth flash, ears pin back. They want the calf, but they fear the mud. They wait for the moment weakness becomes visible. The mother trumpets and lunges, a warning charge that shakes the ground. One wrong step can turn escape into a trap. Hunters light torches, flames whipping sideways, using fire as a wall. These hunters are careful. One charge from a mammoth can end everything. Smoke stings. The wind carries the smell of resin and fear across the flat. They're driven by hunger, but also by respect for an animal that can fight back. Lyuba thrashes, trying to free her legs. Each kick splashes mud higher. The surface lies, but the silt below tells the truth. Mud spatters her face, clinging to eyelashes, sealing her breath in sticky film. The mud pulls at every joint, turning movement into exhaustion. Sleet turns to rain for a moment, then back to ice. The mud becomes colder, heavier. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything, except the ground itself. From above, the mother circles, searching for a firmer angle, a root, a rock, anything to brace. One wrong step can turn escape into a trap. Even she sinks. A giant can be trapped by the same physics as a calf. Mud behaves like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper it grips. Lyuba's breathing turns ragged. Her trunk trembles, lifting, falling, lifting again. Cold steals strength fast. Panic turns to fatigue in minutes. And when she gasps, wet silt can rush where air should be. The surface lies, but the silt below tells the truth. A spear flies, not at the calf, but into mud near the wolves. A warning meant to keep them back. A mammoth hunt is never clean. It's strategy, risk, and luck. The shaft quivers upright, like a marker on a grave that isn't finished yet. They don't need to strike, only to steer the herd toward danger. Predators retreat, frustrated, but they don't leave. They never leave. Dusk deepens. Temperature drops. The steppe prepares to freeze. Mother and calf communicate constantly. Touch, rumble, and breath. Tears on Lyuba's fur turn to ice. Her lashes sparkle. Tiny stars on a living face. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything, except the ground itself. The mother nudges her head, trying to keep her nostrils above the mudline. Even in danger, tenderness is how the herd stays together. Thunder rolls. Clouds swallow the last light. Mother and calf communicate constantly, touch, rumble, and breath. Hunters whisper, argue, because staying too long could mean facing a charging mammoth in darkness. They don't need to strike, only to steer the herd toward danger. One steps closer, testing the crust. It shivers. He backs away. Their eyes stay on the calf, because youth is the weak point of every giant. The mother surges forward, and the hunter stumbles, suddenly reminded what 6 tons means. The herd tightens, because distance is where danger lives. Lyuba sinks a little more. The mud reaches her chest, stealing the space her lungs need. Cold steals strength fast. Panic turns to fatigue in minutes. Bubbles rise beside her. Soft pops that sound like time itself, escaping. The surface lies, but the silt below tells the truth. Snow begins, soft at first, then thicker. Nature sealing the scene. The mother strokes Lyuba's face with her trunk. A gesture so gentle, it hurts to watch. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything, except the ground itself. Lyuba weakens. Her head droops. Her breaths come shallow, wet, and slow. This is how nature hunts, by making the ground itself an enemy. Night arrives. In the dark, every predator listens, and every mother knows what might be coming. The herd tightens, because distance is where danger lives. Lyuba gasps. The air is cold, but the mud in her breath is colder, pulling oxygen away. This is the moment the Ice Age takes her and keeps her. Her tiny lungs, meant for crisp air, fill with mud instead. An accident that science can still read today. Her mother pulls again, hooves braced, shoulders locked, fighting the suction with brute force. Nature can be both killer and preserver in the same breath. The cold arrives fast here, and once ice forms, even scavengers are locked out. Tusks, trunk, and muscle strain, yet the mud doesn't budge, it only tightens. Her body will not be lost to scavengers, because the mud and ice will seal it. Her eyes slow blink, and the world narrows to one thing: breathing. Nature can be both killer and preserver in the same breath. At the edge, hunters hesitate, wolves prowl. Darkness changes every risk. A spear lowers, a decision is made. Step back and let the land take what it wants. A wolf tries to approach and sinks. Even the predator learns fear here. In the Ice Age, patience is a weapon. Mud strings snap as it yanks free, frustrated, hungry, helpless. Predators save energy. They let fear and terrain do the chasing. A sudden gust drops the temperature. The surface begins to glaze. Cold turns the mudflat into a lid. Tight, smooth, and impenetrable. Ice crystals form on Lyuba's fur, as if winter is reaching out to touch her. From here, time will move, but her body will not. Far off, the herd calls. The mother hears it, family demanding she return. Mother and calf communicate constantly. Touch, rumble, and breath. Her eye shines wet in the dark. In that look is a choice no animal should face. In her mother's shadow, Lyuba is protected from almost everything, except the ground itself. One last pull. Desperate, violent, everything she has. Nature can be both killer and preserver in the same breath. Lyuba's chest barely stays above the mud. Her breath is a whisper. Her body will not be lost to scavengers, because the mud and ice will seal it. The mother's trunk touches her mouth. Final comfort, final instruction. Stay with me. This is the moment the Ice Age takes her and keeps her. Then Lyuba goes still. The mud quiets. The soundscape collapses into wind. Nature can be both killer and preserver in the same breath. The mother releases a low, mourning rumble, a note that seems too old for the world. She backs away, trembling, unwilling to accept the stillness. Step by step, she retreats, because staying could kill her too. Even in danger, tenderness is how the herd stays together. She turns toward the herd and looks back again and again. Ice lenses grow through the soil, sealing the layers like glass. Snow gathers on the calf's back, covering her like a blanket. Cold turns the mudflat into a lid, tight, smooth, and impenetrable. Through the night, the storm thickens, nature changing tragedy into preservation. From here, time will move, but her body will not. A thin sheet of ice seals over the mud, smooth as glass. Predators save energy. They let fear and terrain do the chasing. Wolves sniff and circle, but they can't reach. The mire protects what it trapped. They're driven by hunger, but also by respect for an animal that can fight back. Hunters vanish into darkness, their torches shrinking to stars. Even in danger, tenderness is how the herd stays together. Above, aurora dances, silent color over a silent loss. Ice lenses grow through the soil, sealing the layers like glass. Now the science begins, mud, ice, and time, layer upon layer, locking her body away. Cold turns the mudflat into a lid. Tight, smooth, and impenetrable. Permafrost crystals knit together, turning soft silt into stone. What was once a tragedy becomes data, waiting for discovery. Seasons pass, grass grows, snow returns, the world forgets, years compress, but the frozen ground stays locked, preserving skin and organs. Rivers shift, banks collapse, and decades become seconds in the Earth's slow edit. Her last breath becomes a footprint in the geology. Centuries blur into millennia. Empires rise and fall somewhere far away. One warm season is enough to expose what tens of thousands of winters protected. In darkness, Lyuba waits, perfectly still, inside a frozen time capsule. Permafrost can lock a body away faster than decay can begin. And then one spring, the river bites into the bank, and her story begins to surface again. Here, frozen ground works like a vault, silent, sealed, and cold. Spring meltwater carves the tundra like a knife, exposing hair that hasn't seen daylight since the Ice Age. Every brushstroke is slow, because one mistake can erase a detail forever. The river laps at that fur, threatening to tear the past apart before anyone can understand it. Discovery is a race against thaw. Minutes matter when ancient tissue meets warm air. A reindeer herder crosses the tundra and notices something impossible in the bank. His dog sniffs, whines, and refuses to look away. Every brushstroke is slow, because one mistake can erase a detail forever. The herder kneels, careful, because in the north, the ground can swallow what you disturb. Discovery is a race against thaw. Minutes matter when ancient tissue meets warm air. A tiny trunk, a face, skin and fur preserved so well it looks asleep.
In May 2007, on Russia's Yamal Peninsula near the Uribay River, Lyuba came back to the world, and it asks us what we leave behind for the future to find.
A team arrives with tents, tarps, and quiet voices because every movement could damage a miracle. They cut the ice in blocks, protecting her from sunlight and heat. Brushes, wooden tools, gloved fingers. Excavation becomes surgery. Helicopters and crates become the modern version of a sled, moving a miracle carefully. They wrap her like a fragile relic, keeping her cold so the thaw can't rewrite her. A helicopter lifts off over white tundra, carrying 40,000 years in a sling. Frost coats the crate. Labels go on. The modern world takes custody of the ancient one. Helicopters and crates become the modern version of a sled, moving a miracle carefully. In cold storage, breath fogs the air. The specimen rests, still sealed in its own winter. The goal is to learn, without destroying, what makes her unique. Under microscopes, hairs look like fine ropes. Each strand a record of climate, diet, and stress. CT scans let scientists look inside without cutting, preserving the evidence. In the CT scanner, the real clue appears: mud where air should have been. Inside her stomach, they found milk, proof she was still nursing. On the monitor, dark shapes fill the windpipe, evidence of inhalation, not a clean drowning. Each measurement narrows the timeline, turning mystery into reconstruction. Scientists point, measure, and debate carefully because the truth lives in millimeters. Even the smallest detail, mud in a tube, milk in a stomach, becomes a clue.
The suction ripples here indicate the mud entered the trachea. This confirms our theory about the aspication event.
Inside jars, tiny plant fragments tell what the herd ate and what kind of world fed them. Science here is gentle. Observe, scan, measure, and preserve. Photographs document every angle, every wrinkle, every eyelash, before time can change anything. The goal is to learn without destroying what makes her unique. In a museum case, under soft light, Lyuba becomes a face-to-face meeting with deep time. CT scans let scientists look inside without cutting, preserving the evidence. Visitors go quiet. Some can't believe the fur is real. Maps redraw the world. Pleistocene, steppe then, Arctic tundra now, and for a moment, we return, imagining a sunlit day when Lyuba was alive, not trapped. Even the smallest detail, mud in a tube, milk in a stomach, becomes a clue. Milk in her stomach suggests she was still nursing, still dependent, still learning to breathe right. Researchers drill permafrost cores nearby, reading frozen layers like pages. Each layer tells a season: snow, melt, dust, a storm, a flood. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. Today, those layers are weakening. Permafrost is thawing faster than history can be recorded. Meltwater trickles, bubbles rise, and the ground collapses, releasing fossils and questions. Each measurement narrows the timeline, turning mystery into reconstruction. In diagrams, the permafrost becomes a vault: ice, soil, and chemistry preserving flesh. Today, that same permafrost is thawing, revealing secrets and releasing them. But the vault only exists because the cold stayed constant, an assumption that's now breaking. Back in the Ice Age, the mother's last glance becomes almost unbearable because we know what comes next. The goal is to learn without destroying what makes her unique. Lyuba's eyelashes, frozen, are a signature, like the past leaving fingerprints. And when we hold an ancient spear point in a modern hand, we feel the connection. Humans were here too. This story isn't just about death. It's about how an entire era, mammoths, hunters, ice, began to disappear. In the lab, Lyuba is measured like a crime scene. Every detail recorded before exposure can change it. Even the smallest detail, mud in a tube, milk in a stomach, becomes a clue. Calipers touch tiny teeth. The verdict: she was only 30 to 35 days old. Science here is gentle. Observe, scan, measure, and preserve. Notes fill pages. Under a meter tall, about 50 kilograms, dog-sized, but unmistakably a mammoth. CT scans show the key: mud packed in the windpipe, and lungs consistent with suffocation after inhalation. CT scans let scientists look inside without cutting, preserving the evidence. Investigators pin clues together: river mud, trackways, storm patterns, reconstructing a day no human witnessed. Inside her stomach, they found milk, proof she was still nursing. To understand the physiology, scientists compare her to modern elephant calves. Same blueprint, different world. Each measurement narrows the timeline, turning mystery into reconstruction. Even an elephant calf can struggle when breathing is compromised. In freezing mud, the margin is zero. Even the smallest detail, mud in a tube, milk in a stomach, becomes a clue.
This is why the mud matters. It's not a guess, it's visible inside her airway. It's a reminder that nature records everything, even tragedy.
Now, we replay the likely sequence. The herd enters the river, fighting current and ice. Reconstruction is a careful balance of evidence and imagination. Water churns brown. Silt lifts in clouds. The bottom turns slick. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. Lyuba steps onto the bank, and the ground gives way under a thin crust. No one saw it happen, but the body recorded it in anatomy and soil. Suction locks around her legs. Every pull makes a deeper hole. Reconstruction is a careful balance of evidence and imagination. Hunters add pressure, shouts, stones, movement, trying to split the herd without getting close to tusks. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. In their faces, you can read the era: cold, hunger, and the constant gamble of chasing big prey. No one saw it happen, but the body recorded it in anatomy and soil. The mother shields the calf, but chaos has angles, and the mudflat offers none. Lyuba calls, short chirps, turning to panic as she tires. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. Predators appear at the horizon, drawn by sound, the ecosystem responding in real time. No one saw it happen, but the body recorded it in anatomy and soil. Wind shifts, scent travels. The wolves know exactly where to go. The calf slips again and becomes trapped, deeper now, chest pressing against mud. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. The mother pulls with her trunk, muscles straining, but the mire is stronger. No one saw it happen, but the body recorded it in anatomy and soil. A storm hits. Sleet slashes sideways, adding weight and cold to every surface. When Lyuba gasps, mud can rush into the trunk, where air should be. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. Wet coughing follows. Breathing becomes noisy, shallow, desperate. No one saw it happen, but the body recorded it in anatomy and soil. Then the temperature drops. Snow begins. The mud starts to freeze at the top. Ice crystals bloom on fur, eyelashes, whiskers, beauty arriving like a lock. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. The mother nudges Lyuba's head up, fighting for one more breath. But the herd calls, predators circle, and staying risks her own life. She leaves, because evolution doesn't reward grief. It rewards survival. We're piecing this together from scans, sediments, and the physics of mud and ice. Permafrost seals the mud. The scene turns into a sealed chamber, protected from scavengers. Inside her stomach, they found milk, proof she was still nursing. Some researchers suggest bacteria and chemistry may have pickled tissues, another layer of preservation. Each measurement narrows the timeline, turning mystery into reconstruction. Conservators build a climate case, controlling temperature and humidity like a second permafrost. A label reads, Lyuba, over 40,000 years old. It feels impossible. The freezer is melting, and the past is leaking into the present. Outside, the tundra is changing. Thaw slumps widen. New fossils surface every summer. Lyuba's fur, soft under museum light, becomes a message. The past can return, but only if we handle it gently. Lyuba's world was the Mammoth Steppe, an ecosystem of grass, wind, and giants stretching across northern Eurasia. Steppe bison grazed beside them, fur thick as blankets, turning frozen grass into life. Woolly rhinos moved like tanks through blowing snow, shaped by the same relentless cold. Even scavengers, ravens, foxes, played their role, recycling every calorie the steppe could offer. Humans were part of that web too, traveling, hunting, learning the land the hard way. Their tools were simple: stone, sinew, and fire. But their choices could ripple through herds. Around a fire, stories were traded for warmth, and tomorrow's hunt was planned like survival itself. Then the climate shifted. Slowly at first, then faster, shrubs replacing grasses, ground turning wetter. Extinction is rarely one cause. It's pressure, piled on pressure. Snow melts earlier, the soil stays soft, insects bloom. the steppe begins to change its identity. As climates warmed, grasslands shrank and wetlands spread. Bad news for heavy, cold-adapted giants. For mammoths, wetter ground meant more mud traps, fewer dry grazing plains, and harder migrations. Mammoths survived longer than most people realize, but their world kept shrinking. Some populations survived for thousands of years, isolated on islands until even that refuge ended. Extinction is rarely one cause. It's pressure, piled on pressure. Today, the permafrost cracks with loud pops. The freezer that kept Lyuba is no longer reliable. Today, that same permafrost is thawing, revealing secrets and releasing them. Great thaw slumps collapse, exposing ancient layers, fascinating but also alarming. Methane bubbles rise in tundra ponds, a reminder that frozen carbon is waking up. What was once stable ice is now shifting ground.
Scientists stand in parkas and talk into the wind, trying to measure a world in motion. Today, that same permafrost is thawing, revealing secrets and releasing them.
In the museum, Lyuba looks asleep, like a calf waiting to stand. We can blend past and present. Ice Age river, modern river, the same physics, different temperature. Some dream of de-extinction, bringing mammoths back. But DNA is only part of a world. Every vial, every barcode comes with ethical questions. Should we revive what we can't truly restore? For now, the safest miracle is understanding, learning from what the permafrost preserved. So we return to a quieter morning, before the storm, before the mud, just a mother and her calf. A single calf can bridge 40,000 years if we let the evidence speak. Lyuba leans into her mother's trunk, calm, trusting, unaware of how fragile the ground can be. It's a reminder that nature records everything, even tragedy. They walk through frost grass and wildflowers, small color against a vast, gray world, and it asks us what we'll leave behind for the future to find. The herd moves into sunlight, dust and snow sparkling around them like slow-motion stars. The smallest life can carry the biggest message if we choose to listen. Lyuba flicks an ear, answers a rumble, and keeps walking, exactly what calves are meant to do. Her story makes the Ice Age feel personal, and that's why it stays with us. In a modern hall, children stare in silence, meeting an animal that should have vanished forever. In the end, this isn't just history, it's a mirror. A reflection in the glass merges child and calf, two worlds touching without crossing. Her last day survived over 40,000 years. The question is, what will our world preserve or lose next? It's a reminder that nature records everything, even tragedy. Out on the tundra, text flashes, permafrost is melting. It's not a metaphor, it's a clock, and it asks us what we'll leave behind for the future to find. Ice drips in steady rhythm, a quiet sound that can change everything. The smallest life can carry the biggest message if we choose to listen. We end with the montage: mudflat, river, lab, museum, proof that one moment can echo for millennia. Her story makes the Ice Age feel personal, and that's why it stays with us. And we return to her eye, the first frame, because stories begin and end with what we choose to see. In the end, this isn't just history, it's a mirror. For Lyuba, for every life hidden under ice. A single calf can bridge 40,000 years if we let the evidence speak. If this story moved you, share it, because memory is how we keep the past from disappearing twice. And if you want more true Ice Age mysteries, subscribe. New reconstructions every week. This was the baby mammoth's last day. Before the trap, before the storm, before the frozen stillness that would preserve her for more than 40,000 years, Lyuba belonged to a world so vast it felt like weather made visible. The Mammoth Steppe was not empty snow. It was a living ocean of grass, frost, dust, and constant wind. Steppe bison moved through it like dark currents, cropping the plains and helping keep the grasslands open. Woolly rhinos crossed the same horizon, heavier, shorter-tempered, and built for cold in a completely different way. Foxes, ravens, and wolves followed every herd, because on the steppe, nothing wasted a calorie if it could help it. Life here was expensive. Every mouthful mattered. In summer, the ground flashed green and brief, and thaw ponds turned the grey world bright with insect life. Rivers cut the plains into shining braids, cold enough to kill, generous enough to guide migration. For a few short weeks each year, wildflowers opened low to the ground, tiny colors under giants. Then autumn darkened the sedges, the smell of frost returned, and winter rewrote everything again. It flattened the steppe, hardened it, tested every animal that stayed. And then the mammoths arrived, huge, slow from a distance, but astonishingly precise once you watched their feet. Under them, the grass bent in waves, and the earth remembered every step in prints the wind could not keep. At night, Aurora drifted over sleeping herds, turning silence into something almost ceremonial. Somewhere in that enormous world, Lyuba walked safely beside her mother, small enough to disappear in shadow. A mother mammoth, guarded with touch first, trunk across the shoulder, breath over fur, a warning before the danger. In sleet and crosswind, calves stayed close to the belly line, where heat, milk, and shelter were all within reach. When the weather softened, young calves tested the world, shoving snow, chasing one another, discovering that movement itself could be joy. The matriarch chose the path, reading terrain the way sailors read currents, always searching for ground that would hold. Tusks were not ornaments, they were tools, sweeping snow aside to uncover grasses buried beneath the crust. A trunk could pluck sedges one by one, curl around roots, or lift a whole mouthful with impossible delicacy. At the river, mammoths drank fast and watched hard, because water promised life and danger in the same instant. In the brief warm season, mud cooled skin and drove off insects, and a wallow could feel like relief. Milk kept calves alive, but so did patience, the slow lessons of where to stand, when to move, and what to fear. Long before a calf understood the land, she understood the herd's language, low rumbles, touch, posture, and breath. Their broad feet spread weight over soft ground, an advantage on steppe soil, until the ground stopped acting like steppe. At night, the adults formed a living barricade, calves protected inside a ring of fur, tusk, and vigilance. When wolves scented the herd, every head lifted at once. Danger on the steppe rarely needed an introduction. Lyuba answered her mother with tiny chirps and ear flicks, practicing the rules of belonging before she knew she was learning them. Morning after morning, the herd moved on through mist, carrying memory in trackways that stretched beyond the horizon. That is the world Lyuba came from. Not a frozen blank, but a complicated kingdom of grass, weather, family, and risk. The scale of that world matters. A calf like Lyuba did not live in isolation. She lived inside a moving society, inside weather, inside generations of memory carried by older females who knew the safe valleys, the dangerous banks, and the timing of thaw. What looked peaceful from a distance was actually constant calculation: where to feed, where to cross, where wolves might appear, where thin crust might fail. The steppe rewarded attention. It punished mistakes. And for calves, attention usually arrived as something simple and physical. A trunk touching the back, a body turning into the wind, a rumble saying stay close. Humans lived here too, never separate from the steppe, only another intelligent species trying to read it before the land read them back. At dawn, sparks from a fire could mean warmth, tools, food, and one more day earned against the cold. Stone blades were shaped with astonishing care because the edge of a tool could decide whether a winter was survivable. Hide clothing was sewn in lamplight and patience, every stitch a defense against wind that could strip heat like teeth. Experienced trackers learned to read a story from the ground. Fresh prints, broken crust, the angle of a slide, the age of a hoof mark, the direction of stress. From a ridge, a mammoth herd looked almost peaceful, until you imagine the speed of one charge at close range. Spears had to flex, bindings had to hold, and courage had to survive the moment planning ended. Sinew lashings were tightened again and again because failure in the workshop became death in the field. Even transport was strategy. Sleds, hides, bundles, bone tools, fire kits, all arranged to move before weather changed. Some people carved animals into ivory and bone, not as decoration alone, but as memory, respect, and rehearsal. Around a fire, stories were not luxuries. They were survival manuals disguised as memory. Across open country, hunters traveled the same wind-beaten corridors as mammoths, sometimes following, sometimes avoiding, always watching. Most encounters ended not in killing, but in distance, both sides weighing risk, hunger, and the cost of one mistake. Wolves haunted those margins too, opportunists waiting for fear, injury, or weather to tip the odds. And above them all, predators like cave lions watched the same weak points: calves, confusion, bad ground, bad timing. A river cutbank, a patch of crust, a turn in the wind. Small details could become an ambush or an escape. Back at camp, hides were scraped clean, softened, and turned into walls, boots, slings, and shelter. Smoke curled up into the aurora, while fat hissed over flame. And somewhere far off, a herd answered itself in the dark. Sometimes a human hand met an old mammoth track filled with ice, and the scale of the animal became personal. Not every herd could be followed. Sometimes the land itself said no, and wise hunters listened. By morning, snow could bury the tracks of both species equally, erasing intention and leveling every story. Mammoths survived this world because they wore the climate on their bodies, layered fur above skin built to hold heat, small ears that reduced exposure, every breath moving through a face designed to meet cold without surrendering to it. Tusks doubled as plows, levers, and weapons, solving problems no hand could solve at that size. Inside the mouth, great ridged molars ground dry grasses into fuel for a 6-ton body. The trunk was nose, hand, hose, and sensor at once, always sampling the air for water, danger, or kin. Their feet spread wide like living snowshoes, built to carry mass across ground that shifted by season. Even the shape of the shoulders helped, towering muscle and stored energy carrying them through weather most animals fled. And still, for all that power, the future could narrow to one calf sleeping against her mother's flank. To us, that world looks cinematic. To the people inside it, it was arithmetic, fuel, distance, wind, timing, too much risk, and the camp starved. Too little courage, and it starved just as surely. So they watched the giants with something more complicated than fear. They watched with admiration, strategy, and restraint. The same was true of the mammoths. Neither species ruled the steppe. Both negotiated with it every day. That is why their paths feel so closely braided in the archaeological record. Tracks, tools, cut banks, hearths, and long stretches of country where survival depended on reading the same signals. Then the steppe began to change. Not overnight, not with one single catastrophe, but enough that each generation inherited a less reliable map. Grasses gave way to shrubs. Wet ground started replacing the dry plains heavy animals depended on. Old paths softened into traps. The same weight that once made mammoths untouchable now worked against them. River courses shifted, floodplains widened, and migration routes broke into fragments separated by mud and water. Some herds endured in shrinking refuges, holding on at the edges while the center of their world disappeared. Rain where snow once fell changed everything: food, footing, insects, and the cost of simply staying warm. Human pressure likely mattered too, not always as slaughter, but as one more force inside a system already straining. On the steppe, extinction was not a single moment. It was pressure piled on pressure until recovery failed. Storm by storm, season by season, the great migrations thinned, and the silence afterward became its own evidence. Eventually, the horizon that once carried mammoth silhouettes carried only weather, but the ground kept remembering, sealing bones, hair, stomach contents, and final breaths under cold enough to stop time. Permafrost became an archive, one built by climate, chemistry, and accident rather than intention. Now that archive is opening. Thaw slumps collapse into rivers, and ancient layers spill out faster than science can catalog them. A strand of fur in an eroding bank can be a miracle and a warning in the same glance. Researchers drill cores, scan tissues, map thaw fronts, and hurry because preservation is no longer guaranteed. Every exposed specimen is a race, protected from the sun, from bacteria, from us, from the speed of modern change. In the lab, Lyuba teaches without speaking. Her lungs, milk, fur, and skin, all holding fragments of a vanished system. In the museum, children meet her face to face and realize the Ice Age was once ordinary life to someone. Glass, chilled air, and soft light become a second permafrost. Human-made this time. Careful, temporary, and deliberate. Outside, methane bubbles rise in thaw ponds, reminding us that the freezer is no longer secure. Ancient rivers and modern rivers follow the same physics, only the temperature has changed. That is why Lyuba matters now. She is not only a relic, she is a message from a world undone by changing ground. And still, when we imagine her alive, we do not begin with death. We begin with mourning. We begin with a calf beside her mother, walking through flowers so small they vanish under the next gust. We begin with a herd under aurora, each body carrying heat, memory, and the knowledge of where to go. We begin with one bright eye, curious and unworried before mud, before storm, before history closes its hand. For a few seconds, the steppe lives again, not as nostalgia, but as evidence made human in our imagination. Then the herd passes over the ridge, and the land keeps the rest. Wind moves through empty grass the way it did then, indifferent, patient, still recording everything. That is Lyuba's postscript. The world that made her is gone, but the warning it left behind is still alive. And maybe that is the deepest reason her story stays with us. Lyuba is not only evidence of death, she is evidence of a whole system: animals, rivers, weather, soil, chemistry, and time, caught in one small body. When we look at her, we are not just looking backward. We are watching a warning return. A ground system that once preserved the past is now becoming unstable in the present. That makes every discovery double-edged. Wonder on one side, urgency on the other. The postscript is not separate from the story. It is the story, still unfolding under our feet.